beautiful friends, welcome. This is Archangel. Do you want to know blue pill males? Do you want to know the heart of what drives simps, manginas, white knights, man-ape shovels, or, for that matter, feminists, entitled princesses, or just a general parasitic, lecherous, manipulative, fragility-feigning, divine female? Well, it's a little thing called survival. So buckle up, I've got a few things to say here. But then, I have never really been shy about waxing long in the tooth on any subject. And interestingly enough, as of late, I have been told that some of my videos, some of my messages are a little too lengthy. But rest assured, my friends, I eventually come to a relevant point, somewhere in my meanderings. Oh, I know, most people don't have 10 minutes, let alone a freaking half hour, to devote to this guy on the internet and his paranoid ramblings. I understand, I get it. We are merely symptoms of our current society, where we are dumbed down with the attention spans of ADD fruit flies. And so people may listen to 4, perhaps 5 minutes of any video, and then they figure they have the general gist and they will bounce after another shiny video in the recommended column catches their eye. I understand. But this is unfortunate because I feel a lot of my better material lies within the body of the message, towards the end even. Well, hopefully, my friends, you can stay awake. And rest assured, I actually do put a lot of time into my messages. I start a thought, and it ends where it ends. I don't put time restrictions on any of my messages. And to those who listen to the entirety of my messages, thank you. So, anyhow, okay, pathetic dudes who are shovels and doormats, right. So, you know how when something burns, you flinch away, or when something scares you, you have the ripe urge to run, to flee, to get away, even if you do stay and fight? There is an imperative that supersedes all. It is called survival. Nearly everything that drives the animal kingdom is done to sate the singular directive. Animals reproduce for the survival of genes. Animals protect young for the survival of the species. Animals fight and kill one another over reproductive rights or food or territory, and all of this can ultimately be traced back to survival. Even plants will have certain defenses or alliances with particular animals for mutually beneficial survival. Plants will even grow towards the sun, towards that which gives life, in order to affect survival. Humans are definitely survival driven. You will see when push comes to shove and humans are in mortal danger, they will revert from intellectual thinking to animalistic instinct. Humans revert to their reptilian programming and will violate others in order to survive. Most humans cannot hold Buddhist calm or practice non-harm when their life or that of a loved one is threatened. So, survival is the template that supersedes nearly everything, including human sentience and morality. Whether creationist or evolutionist, survival seems to supersede all other imperatives of why we are here. Furthermore, if you are an atheist or a strict member of the materialist science camp and believe that 2 rocks banged together in space a few years ago and voila, here we are, and life is mere cosmic coincidence with no rhyme or reason or justice, then the survival paradigm explains everything in such a worldview, including human interactions, such as love or compassion. Since materialists posit that humans have found communal goodwill and feelings of fondness lead to communal survival, and thus love and compassion are tools of pack survival, because pack survival serves individual survival, strength in numbers. We see this in pack creatures, such as wolves or primates. Individual members will adapt to pack rules in order to be accepted and thus live amongst greater numbers, which helps to ward off predation, ostracization, and the hardship of singular existence. All of this is done to augment the survival of the individual. Now, if you, like myself, tend to believe in a grander force out there, somewhere, a place where both creationism and evolution coexist, where they are partners, meaning that something sparked life into existence, and that life then evolves according to its own devices and environmental cues. Yet even under this expanded understanding, we are still subject to survival. I mean, even if humans are energy or spirit beings having a physical experience, as I surmise, still, while we are here suffering from cosmic amnesia, we are subjected to natural law, meaning survival in a hostile environment. Yes, I like to think that humans are meant to be feeling, caring creatures. But reality in 21st century Earth stands in resolute juxtaposition to fluffy, warm spiritual paradigms, since you can look around and see the imperative of survival in human decisions and actions. People are not practicing love and tolerance. We are trespassing one another in order to survive. And why do we behave from our lower functions when we are capable of higher transcendence? Because despite beliefs of higher powers, despite what our pastor or bishop or guru tells us about the afterlife, there are no guarantees. Nobody absolutely knows what will happen at death. And that right there, that little bit of uncertainty leads to fear. And fear is totally a survival state. So everything can be traced to survival instinct. Pursuit or love of money is survival, since money will buy you what you need to survive, whether it is bread and water or whether you need a private jet and a mansion for your pride and self-image to survive. Pain is an indicator to help one escape injury, which will lead to survival. Pleasure as well can be a motivator of survival, because humans will pursue that which feels good, such as sex, which is ultimately survival of genetics and the species. However, some will make the opposite argument that pleasure causes people to do things that are counter to their survival, such as drugs or ice cream, all of which are outside the survival paradigm. Yet really, they are not. Survival can explain these things as well, because people seek the continuation of the feel-good sensations from the drug or food. They do not want the fun and euphoria to die or go away. They seek the continuity of that pleasure, the survival of the feelings and the highs that these things precipitate. Now, humans are a bit different because they are driven by two other motivators as well: genuine selfless caring and greed. You see, humans can genuinely care for another, and when that person risks their personal welfare and survival for another, this demonstrates what we call love. Yet it can be said that a good Samaritan is still driven by survival. They simply seek the survival of the person or animal that they protect. So this is still survival imperative, only the attention has been diverted from individual welfare to that of another. And the act of diverting attention away from self-welfare and towards the welfare of another is called love. This brings us to greed. Humans, they seem to have a talent for twisting survival into greed. For instance, a person may have just enough to meet their biological and material needs. They may have ample clothing, shelter, and food, even transportation. Yet, they will seek better and more. There is strict survival. Then there is comfortably surviving. And you can observe this in the humans that are rich, whose physical survival is assured, yet they still seek to get more and more stuff. The rich oftentimes trespass the poor in order to attain more and more superfluous amounts of money or material means that they really do not need to satisfy strict survival. Humans have a predisposition to greed. They get a little and they want a whole lot more than is necessary for strict survival. Yet greed is a misguided vestige of the survival instinct, where a person psychologically relates material acquisition with survival. They need billions of dollars to ensure the survival of their business or family or the survival of their posh lifestyle. They need to control as many people as possible in order to insulate themselves from threat, which will ensure survival. They need to get prettier and more attractive so that they may live off of others or manipulate provision out of them or attract better, richer suitors, etc. And thus many people mentally mingle greed and survival into the same pretzel. Others are knowingly driven by greed, wholly independent of survival. This is where humans differ from animals. They are self-aware, which leads to ego, and ego leads to all the moral sins: pride, greed, lust, and so on. However, even ego-driven negativity is still encapsulated under the survivalist paradigm. An ego wants to survive, and it will fight to survive by judging and trespassing others who are not it, and thus they, being outside entities, threaten its survival with their foreign beliefs or opinions. And hence, greed is driven by ego, and ego is driven by survival. That ego and all its beliefs and opinions want to survive. So really, everything can be traced to survival, whether it's survival of physical personhood, survival of communities, or of species, or survival of thought forms, beliefs, dogmas, paradigms, survival of individual or collective ego, etc. Now, this seems all way too simplistic. People may say we are not so easily quantifiable. Humans are much more complex than this, with thoughts and feelings and emotions and a fancy frontal cortex. Then we have the psychological and spiritual aspects, and holy cow, we really are complicated, aren't we? Are we? Really? I agree that we have higher function capability, but look around. Does it look like we practice our higher functions, or do we simply behave as the animal kingdom and run upon survivalist precepts? Have we made this world a better place with our fancy thoughts and emotions and our frontal cortex? Or do we still practice judgment and bigotry and violence as we did in the Dark Ages? Do we hurt and manipulate and kill others out of malice, whereas animals kill for survival, not for egoic satisfaction? Oh, you betcha, we're kicking ass with informational technology, but we are failing in ethics and morality as a species. I do believe that we are capable of so much more, such caring that we do not know today. But until we can eliminate duress or pressure of limited resources or fleeting mortality, until there is an environment where survival and resource are a non-issue, till that point we will be subjected to the rudimentary animalistic directive of survival. Alrighty, now there are creatures that are solo and creatures that are social. And the solo creatures may come together for mating purposes, yet the rest of the time they fend for themselves, whereas social creatures group into large clans in order to effect survival through numbers. These social creatures will come together to benefit from the group, and this leads to another type of survival, individual survival within the group. And thus to affect communal survival, behavior osmosis occurs, and creatures adopt pack norms. Fish school, birds flock, and guess what? Humans also flock and school with each other. For humans will concede and adopt the beliefs, attitudes, and opinions of the group majority in order to get along and enjoy communal protection and interaction rather than rejection and ostracization. However, there are many packs amongst the human species, and if humans find one particular group too restrictive or uncomfortable, they will find another group whose pack paradigm matches their own predispositions. For example, Christians will seek out Christian communities. Muslims will seek out Islamic communities. Asian, black, white, gay, rabid soccer fanatic, many humans tend towards like-minded communities or packs in order to suffer less conflict and discomfort within packs which have opposing views to any one person's personal childhood beliefs. Survival is the be-all in this world, and survival demands disposal in order to function, which means creatures have disposability. The immovable law of everything in this heavy physical existence is that something must die so that something else might live. Animals are killed to provide other animals physical nourishment. This seems inescapable. No matter who or what you are, for every being alive, there is another that is dying so that you might live. whether you actively kill animals for food or scavenge dead carcasses, or whether you eat plants, which do indeed have a form of life. They are living and growing, and to harvest them you must end their particular brand of life. You see, whether insect or fish or fowl or mammal or bacteria or plant, the truth that nobody wants to admit is mortal recycling. Death occurs to provide nutrients to fuel life. We are all food, and nutrients make up our cells and physical structures. Nutrients that other animals may kill in order to take, so that animal may postpone its own mortality. Life and physical matter or biological material is like a giant recycling facility. Just like old cans are relieved of their aluminum constituents in order to make new cans, one animal might need the proteins and amino acids contained in your muscular tissue, and they will kill and consume you so that they might survive another day or week or until the next life donor comes along. Yet nothing is ever lost or destroyed. It simply changes form, as Einstein stated. So nature, as a larger entity, feeds itself to itself in order to continue itself. And really, there is nothing but energy in the cosmos, which is the basis for many saying that we are all one. So really there is not individual death, there is the right hand feeding the left in cosmic terms for the enrichment of all. Yeah, well, tell that to the animal being devoured by a predator right now. So, death fuels life, and humans are programmed to survive just like any other animal. We are programmed to be the eater, not the consumed. Yet humans, in our advanced societies, are estranged from the assembly line savagery of death because we have others do our dirty work and slaughter the cows or chickens that we cook up in our casseroles. Others grow and harvest the vegetables or the grains that we buy neatly packaged far away from the slaughter of life that brought us these foodstuffs. I mean, except for maybe Twinkies. All other foodstuffs have ingredients that were once living. And so death had to occur to make the ingredients possible. Even if you are eating cookies and candy, they still involve ingredients such as flour or sugar, both of which used to be part of a living grain or a living sugar cane. The only thing that is not annihilated in order to provide life, besides non-organic minerals, is water. Water exists in the same form, whether in the air, in your cells, in a plant leaf, or in the ocean. And upon your physical expiration, water molecules will escape your physical body and leave, and go somewhere else, and get inside another life form, in the same way that you took in your water. Whether they leach into the surrounding plants or animals, or whether they evaporate and condense as cloud, then fall back to the earth. Short of molecular division, water does not change forms. It is as it always has been, and water is the ultimate recyclable. Anyhow, for you and me to live, death is occurring somewhere right this moment. Now, granted, the plant argument is an argument of principle. I don't think plants suffer as animals do when they die. And indeed, plants cycle anyway. They sprout and grow and then die almost yearly. And so eating them is not killing, it is recycling, since most will die in the fall anyways. Yet, for the sake of debate, we grow crops and harvest them before full maturation in order to get them to market before they begin to rot. So yes, we interrupt their natural cycle to harvest them for food. But the point is that there must be expiration of life in order to provide continuation of life. Now in nature, there is, for the most part, equality. All creatures have equal chance of being food for something else, regardless of sex or size or importance. Indeed, under this argument, some animals are programmed to self-destruct for others' benefit, such as praying mantis males upon copulation. But for the most part, your best chance of survival is if you take the lives of others while staving off those who would take yours. This is survival of the fittest, since the strongest and most cunning will ward off predation the longest and survive to pass along their genes. So nature determines expendability based upon ability. Yet humans, in their haughty arrogance, determine expendability as a matter of social mandate. Whereas all creatures are potential meals in the animal kingdom when a hungry predator comes around, within human constructs, it is solely the male who is to be used, then discarded, that others might live. Now, it's true, some weaker or smaller or less able-bodied animals might have increased chances of predation, but even the biggest and strongest may fall to another. However, humans have decided that females are above nature and that males will be sacrificed ad infinitum in order to provide sustenance to the exalted female. Thus, survival is the order of the day in a brutal, hostile existence. And within pack societies, we have animals that predictably conform to templates in order to get along and lengthen survival. There is a saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, meaning adapt to environment. Do as the locals do in order to get along, whether it be adopting the religion or language or customs or values of any particular group in which you find yourself. And the template of the human pack is as follows. Because of reproductive biology, humans favor the welfare of females, meaning that offspring gestation rests predominantly with the female. Thus, this is called gynocentrism. And so, when you are amongst gynocentrism, do as gynocentrism does. Exalt females and devalue males. Alrighty, so after that long-winded survival banter, we get to the relevant point. Being a simpering, soft, weak, whiny, crybaby mangina, or a male abusive, narrow-minded, bone-headed white knight, these are survivalist strategies to get along in a gynocentric pack existence. Essentially, males are simply adapting to the female-favoring environment of our species by being white knights and manginas. They are adapting self-deprecation in order to get along in a place where they are physically and socially expendable. They are at risk of disposal because of what they are, and so to augment their survival in such a hostile environment, in order to invoke pack protection and avoid pack ostracization, males are willing shovels and enthusiastic doormats to the social paradigm of female service and feminine worship. And as we have discussed, survival is kind of an important thing that drives animals. And when personal survival within pack existence is on the line, it's no wonder that males are so defiantly deaf to my messages. Because even if red pill truths register somewhere in a male's psyche, they also realize that acting on this knowledge will sacrifice their acceptance within the pack. It will compromise their access to their dope supply, which is romance chemicals and the warm fuzzies they receive from female approval. Red pill truths will end their easy life of acceptance and social protection. It will cause the death of their pats on the head and thrust them into a colder, isolated existence devoid of the temporary pleasures of the temporary societal fairy tale that they have existed in. They will be ostracized and essentially be dead to the pack, existing alone on the fringe, away from the assurity of the group. If weak, morally impoverished males act on my truths, they will be vulnerable, more exposed to predation by nature, by other fringe marauders, or by a society that needs male life to keep going. And they will be scorned by a once friendly public that now needs to make an example out of such males who do not behave and bow down to our deities. Either way, when a blue pill male hears our messages, in a matter of a split second, most messages ring as truth somewhere in that male's mind. Yet, in that same split second, the fear of everything I just stated will come to the surface and scare most males to the point where they will outright reject devaluation, anything and everything as a means of survival. Survival for their current opinions and beliefs and egoic pleasures. Survival within a gynocentric environment, which happens to be the very place where they have made a comfortable life for themselves. So, manginas, social justice warriors, white knights, they are pathetic, but they are pathetic because they are seeking survival of some type. Survival of beliefs, survival of ego, survival within the pack, etc. Thus, it might be hard to exercise much compassion at our obnoxious, obstinate siblings. But really, males are brought into an existence that devalues them because of their biology over which they had no control. Then they are raised in an environment where they are further indoctrinated with female exaltation and male devaluation. Then they simply adopt strategies of conformity to pack functioning in order to sate survival, and to get along in a place that already wants their blood, since they are the expendable elements that humans have determined will sacrifice themselves for the benefit of females, so that future generations might be born. And hence males are deemed disposable in war, and their health and vitality are deemed disposable as they work hazardous jobs. And when pack disputes arise, the males are those whose rights are dispensable to sate the needs of others. Males are the disposable units of society, of employment, of the parental head, of friendships, of everything. We discard males and then fetch another to fill his duties. Really, at the end of the day, males that abuse males, males that poke at other males from behind mommy's apron, these males that white knight and mistreat their brothers for female placation, these males are simply doing what every other creature is doing, trying to survive. They are adapting to their surroundings and blending in for security. Well, it's only temporary security because one by one, even the compliant blue pill males in society are being picked off and disappearing in order to fuel the lives and growth of others. And the irony is, these conformist males are cattle, yet they think they are more secure and better protected while ensconced within the pack and conforming to it. But you see, all invoke survival instincts. Blue pill males simply invoke individual survival within the group, whereas MGTOW invoke individual survival within the individual. Males that have pulled away from pack survival, we too are invoking survival instincts, for within gynocentrism, we see that males are food for female consumption, and so we withdraw from pack corruption and injustice in order to effect pain relief. In other words, MGTOW withdraw from the pack for the very same reason that blue pill males conform to the pack: survival. We just have different survival mandates. Again, we are capable of higher motivations, and some people do rise above everything and commit genuinely selfless acts, and these are the types of acts that restore our hope in the human animal. However, in moments of crisis and duress, most all life will revert to survival, and humans are no exception, because quite simply, when survival and morality have a staring contest, well, morality always blinks first. That's why we are still such a savage warring species, despite our technology, because there are no holds barred when an animal is fighting to survive. Morality does not exist when survival is the rule. So, we must make room for dichotomy, that both Manginas and MGTOW do what they do for survival. Simps and Manginas adapt themselves for gynocentric pack survival and acceptance, and MGTOW rebuke gynocentric paradigms and packs for personal survival, since they understand males as expendable elements of the pack. And really, the males that walk away are the stronger, more resilient stock. They are more fit for survival than the conformists that draw their strength and identity from others. Moreover, males demonstrate caring independent of survival. Males are compassionate and empathetic, for when a male walks away and focuses his attentions on himself, what motivation is there for him to speak his truths to other males? When his survival is the prime focus, why does he care about the suffering of another male? Well, males do care, and this is demonstrated by the awakened laboring to awaken others. Some will say that males seek to awaken others out of spite, to cause problems for the culture and sex that mistreated them. And while this may be true in some cases, I maintain that males educating and awakening other males is beyond survival. It is a labor of caring. We care about the downtrodden enough, and we can empathize with their madness and suffering to the point that even though their survival is not our concern, we reach a hand back to the males still trapped within the corrupt pack, within the matrix, and we give them knowledge that will help them with their own personal survival. And their personal survival is enhanced by them walking away from the pack, the same pack that they walked towards and adapted to lengthen their survival. Oh yes, we demonstrate something that is foreign to nature: caring. I postulated in another video how males taking on female persona and appearance, whether drag queen or as a trans female, that this too was a survival protocol to switch identities to that of the privileged class in order to get in on the gravy train of the exalted class, which these males wager will positively affect personal survival by invoking pack protection and priority of provision. Perhaps every unethical, immoral thing humans do is a tactic of survival. Whether peasants kept their mouths shut at witch trials, or whether citizens simply closed their blinds as Jewish neighbors were kicked out of their homes and loaded into rail cars, or perhaps townspeople simply said nothing when they witnessed lynchings in the South, or whether people just turned a blind eye to male devaluation and abuse. All of these actions suggest that despite the ambient people's ability for morality, their instinct for survival is stronger, and thus they wholly ignored injustice. They kept their mouths shut, their heads down, lest they become a target for termination as well. And termination is not very conducive to survival. I seek a place for humanity that comes from a higher plane of morality. I seek the overturning of injustice, or at least the leveling of the species to equity. You see, equity, equality, will be achieved for males, not when males get better divorces or custody deals, but when females are deemed just as expendable as males are in this existence, where life demands the disposal of one for the survival of another. Hence, within this cruel construct, my work for justice and equity will be finished when females are just as disposable as males. And fancying myself a higher spiritual creature, I care about all. Yet, as long as there is injustice, we must oppose it. It behooves us to have compassion and understanding for others. All beings are scared and bewildered by this place, and simply trying to survive. Yet the survival of gynocentrism and those who would uphold the survival of this injustice, well, out of compassion, I label them my enemy. Now, for argument's sake, it might be said that my messages, my seeking to awake other males, is me seeking the survival of this underground movement where guys actually have value and camaraderie. Yet I say my works here are not for survival, but caring enough to help other males liberate themselves from pain and suffering, devaluation and disposability. And so in keeping with the cycle of this existence, I seek the death of gynocentrism so that another, more advanced paradigm might live. Inequity must die that justice might live. And I ask you, my friends, to stand with me, live free.